Welcome to Modern Steel Construction's Field Notes podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Weisenberger. This month's guest is Nick Colina, Administrator of Operations for AISC member fabricator Anco Iron and Construction Inc. in San Francisco, and also a founder of Build Out California. We'll talk about both of those roles here in a bit. First of all, welcome, Nick.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you for the opportunity. I'm really excited to be on today's podcast, share a little bit about my experience.
Thanks for being here, Nick. So let's start from the beginning. Are you from the Bay Area? Are you born and raised there?
Yes, I am. I am a born and raised San Franciscan.
Did you go to school out there somewhere in the area?
So I went to high school at St. Ignatius here in the city, and then I went to college at UC Davis up in Woodland, California, not too far.
Have you ever lived anywhere besides the Bay Area?
I have. I've lived in Portland for a year, but mainly the Bay Area is my home ground.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your role with Anco. I understand it's a family business. Now, did you grow up in the family business, so to speak?
Yeah, so I did. We're a family-owned steel contractor supplier based out of Hunters Point, Bayview. My grandfather came from Mexico in 1969 to start the business. We're third generation. My dad runs it or owns it now, and me and my sisters are managing partners in the business. So I did grow up in steel. I always like to say that steel is in my blood. The entrepreneurship is also in my blood. So I've always been, a huge supporter of entrepreneurs and construction. I grew up in it.
Well, no, I always ask this of people who, did grow up in the family business or are currently involved in it. I mean, if you're allowed to say this without getting in trouble with your dad, did you have any other career thoughts at any point, or did you kind of always know that you'd get into the business?
So I did leave Anco for a little bit and was working in restaurants, throughout my college career. But I always had a drive to be an entrepreneur and to orchestrate some of the ideas that, I couldn't make, possible in other businesses because they weren't my own. They weren't my family's business. And so when I came back to Anco about 7 years ago, again, when I returned, I really got to orchestrate some of the ideas and goals that I wanted to put forth in my business. Because it was my family's, I actually got to make some of those changes and really change the path of our business.
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, I see that that Anco was named as a fastest growing privately owned business. And it looks like 2019 and 2020. Can you talk a little bit about that accomplishment and how you all achieved it?
Yeah, so when I first started back with Anco some years back now, we weren't doing so good. We had really low sales, and really it was kind of a last-ditch effort to save the family business.
Wow.
And so my mom actually asked me to come back and help my dad, get involved with the business again and help bring it back. And so I gave it a shot, and I worked at the restaurant and the business and went to school at the same time. And really, we put all our efforts into steel. I was dreaming about steel. I was thinking about steel all the time. And between my dad, me, and my siblings, we really put together a plan of action. And we went from 250,000 to sales to, 2019, we hit 7.5 million. And on average, we've been about 4.5 million in sales over the last few years. So we have been extremely blessed, and we're really looking to take our business to the next level. At UC Davis, which I love, go Aggies.
Yep.
I had to do that. I had a managerial economics degree, which is Davis doesn't have a business degree. Their business degree is an economics business degree. And so what I was interested in studying was, how do businesses do well when they're in a recession?
Yeah.
When we're in a recession, because it was personal to me within my own family business, because we weren't doing well during the recession.
Right.
And so that was my focus on my studies is in business. What is that? What do you need to be sustainable? So I took a lot of business classes, a lot of economics classes, and I still talk to my professors in economics today, and they ask me, what have you learned from economics to help you in your business? Because they see me how well the business is doing, and they want to know, they want to be a part of it, and they want to be able to teach some of the stuff that I learned in school. Davis was amazing. It's a great school, but I really learned, how to be a businessman doing business, being in business and struggling. And now we're blessed. We're at the place we are today.
Well, speaking of your business and then just, getting more and more projects, can you talk about maybe one or two of the most memorable or rewarding projects you've worked on? And I know sometimes memorable can be good, but or maybe not a great experience, but a learning experience. And, so I mean, I guess either a positive or negative experience.
Well, I have a bunch of really memorable projects. We worked on Chase Center,
Right.
the Warrior Stadium. We are Warriors fans, so that was
Mhm.
really exciting. We were in the underground, above ground, and the architectural metals. We fabricated all the high-end cocktail rails in the Modelo tequila section in the stadium. We also we just finished not too long ago, biosolids digester, which is a $1 billion project for SFPUC, in which they're replacing the old bio facility there, and we were in the trench line there. And then we were also on the other side with Sun and Walsh putting up temporary structures for the pipeline, which was really exciting. It's not a stadium, it's not the cleanest, most exciting project, but it's essential. And during COVID, projects like that did not stop. And so they were lifelines to get COVID. And then also we're on two projects right now that are kind of showcase projects.
Mhm.
Fire Station 35, which is the first floating fire station in San Francisco. It's all over the social media right now.
Sure.
And then also, which you're probably going to hear about pretty soon here when it's done, is Mary Court Park, which is a light up 50-foot metal tree that was fabricated in Netherlands, and we are installing that here in San Francisco. So we're really proud of some of the showcase projects that we have.
Absolutely. So yeah, speaking of that fire station, where is that going to be? I assume it's going to be mobile, or is it going to be just kind of anchored in one place permanently?
So it's right under the Bay Bridge. So it's if you ever go out there, I really recommend going to check it out. It's the backdrop is the Bay Bridge and Treasure Island. So it is a beautiful view, and yes, it is floating, so they can detach it and move it where they need to. But there's been so many fires, in California, and there was a big fire at Pier, I think it was Pier 39, like last year or the year before. So I think that they really wanted a facility that they can move around in the bay and be able to put out, any kind of fires. It's the most high-tech fire station that's around. I do a lot of fire station. I've done fire station 16, 23, 22, 44, 35 now. So it's one of my bread and butters.
Outstanding. So, and when is that one going to be done?
That one should be done in a month or so. It's close to being done. Right now, we are installing all the front, the face of the building. There's some really nice fencing and guardrails. So we fabricated and installed. We're installing all that right now.
Tell me about Build Out California. What it is, what your role is, and some current initiatives maybe.
Yeah, so being a part of the LGBT community, construction can be considered a little bit more conservative and sometimes not always accepting. I sit on the board of NAMEC, which represents Northern Association of Minority Contractors. I'm a board of directors there. I'm also on the board of directors of the San Francisco Latino and Black Economic Recovery Task Force, which represents a lot of minorities in contracting. But we didn't have for the longest time a nonprofit that represents LGBTQ contractors and workforce. And so Paul Pendergast, who's the president of Build Out California, he's one of the founder, as am I, one of the newest founders of Build Out, has really taken an initiative and is doing amazing things for our LGBTQ workforce and contractors. Our community has been involved in construction since the beginning of time. Whether we are visible out and known, we've been building and creating value for the construction industry for a long time. So it's really nice to have a support system of other like-minded and other people in our community that we can go to and talk about business situations and to get opportunities and to really be that the spokesperson for our community with ownership, developers, and to get us a foot in the door. Paul and Build Out have been really amazing advocates for myself. When I take over ownership of Enco, I will be the only steel contractor that is LGBTQ certified. I think in the United States, I know it's I don't know of anybody else. So it's really exciting for me to have that support in an industry that's that not that supportive.
Sure, sure. Well, and that was another question I had. I mean, do you think in recent years the construction industry has been more inclusive or has become more inclusive?
San Francisco is always sets the bar for the rest of the country. I like to think we are more, I'm blessed because not only is this a third generation business, I have customers and clients from my grandfather's time. I have the opportunity and get to be able to benefit. Even if I come out, it doesn't hurt me if I lose a customer or not. I have a lot. But here in San Francisco, being openly gay is almost a benefit. And so I like to say that yes, here I'm lucky. I wouldn't say that it's probably the same in the middle of our country. I'm sure it's way harder to be openly gay in construction. We still get the little comments here and there, but I like to think that I have a lot of mentors and straight men who have supported me throughout my career. And so I always like to thank them and appreciative because I wouldn't be in the place that I am and be as comfortable as I am without such a strong family support and mentorship support from a lot of people in my industry.
Well, speaking of support, mentorship, etc., can you share some of the best or maybe most memorable advice you've been given, either from your family or professionally or otherwise?
Yeah, somebody told me once that most contractors don't care about my sexuality or, they really care about if I can get the job done.
Sure.
And so I've always lived by that. When I'm at work, it's not about that I'm gay. It's about that, can I get the job done? Can I have a quality product? And I'm going to bring you value. And
Sure.
so that is something that is not really that important for me personally. It's not a big thing for me. I found that there are a lot of gays and lesbians and trans plus in construction already, and we know each other. And when we go to these networking events or we're on site, we usually get together and we talk. And, I always say, if you're excited about construction, come join us. Come, we're already here building. I always got excited about cool architecture and putting up, my dad used to put up big buildings and they would last for a whole lifetime. And we drive by and we see that, still standing from, 30, 40 years ago. And you can always say that that's a piece of you. So I think, the best advice to anybody in construction is to, get with people that support you, find a mentor, find somebody that, you say, I want to be like that man or that woman or that person, or, come join us.
Switching gears, I just want to talk a little bit more about, your connection to San Francisco and the Bay Area. Maybe it's a long list, but I'll ask it this way: what's your favorite thing about the city or the area in general? Or maybe, or if it's like I said, if it's several things, let me know.
Yeah, I am a San Francisco at heart. I'm born at SF General. I have San Francisco in my blood. So San Francisco is an entrepreneurial city. It's always been. It's a city where people go to escape. My grandfather came from Mexico because it was tough there. It wasn't. It didn't have opportunities like we do here. And
Sure.
San Francisco still is an entrepreneurial city. And I have that in my blood. And that's why I always come back to San Francisco because it inspires people to want to create, your dream.
On that note, though, I mean, I guess it's a good point. San Francisco is it's an entrepreneurial place. It's always changing. That said, it seems to be changing more now than ever. And I guess what I mean by that is technology. The tech industry has always been big there, but it seems like now more of the people that are working down in Silicon Valley are starting to want to live more in the city. Do you think it's changing the face of the city, or do you think San Francisco is always kind of? I'm assuming there's going to be things about it that are never going to change.
San Francisco has always been a boom and bust city.
Yeah.
Okay. Castro used to be a strong Irish area before, and now it's not, so it's always going to change. People are always going to want to come here. And I always like to thank the tech industry because they're pushing all of their industry. We're at Google right now, which is Google Mass Timber. It's another showcase project. It's a beautiful, they're doing all kinds of stuff down in Silicon Valley. I don't ever dog tech. I think tech is pushing other industries, and San Francisco will figure itself out. We've always taken care of people. and we always will. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited that, Tesla's here and that tech wants to be here. And I invite people to come to San Francisco and help build our city and make it beautiful. So my facility is in Hunters Point, Bayview, which is historically a Black Hispanic neighborhood. And so, yeah, they are pushing a lot of the Black and Hispanic community. It's just with all the housing and people wanting the price of housing is pushing a lot of our community out of the city. And I think the Black community went from like 20% previously to like less than 5% in San Francisco now. It's really sad. And I know they're doing a lot of development here in Hunters Point, Bayview, but I do have to say that our city's politicians really care about our minority communities. And they're building a lot of housing here in Hunters Point, Bayview that needed to get updated 10 years ago. And so I think San Francisco takes care of its people. And, I sit on a lot of nonprofit boards. I'm a board of directors of the San Francisco Latino and Black Economic Recovery Task Force. We do a lot of statistical studies showing the importance of providing opportunities to local minority businesses, because those minority businesses hire people within their community. And we also did a study that showed highly impacted COVID areas, and the majority of the areas were in the Mission District and in Hunters Point, Bayview, which is historically both Black and Hispanic. And so I have confidence in our politicians that they're going to keep providing opportunities for our local minority businesses, and that's what's going to change and keep our community here in San Francisco.